of a Jesus girl. Jesus girl. Hey, it's the diary of a Jesus girl. Let the wings of the Spirit of the Lord just swirl. You are in it, but you know you're not a part of this world. And for the swine, you should never cast your pearl. Yes, it's just the diary of a Jesus girl. The diary of a Jesus girl. Welcome to the Diary of a Jesus Girl podcast, where we discuss real-life issues of the committed Christian woman. This podcast will inspire you to love Jesus and impact lives like Jesus. And now it's time for your host, Crystal Day, award-winning author, speaker, and Christian coach.
So welcome to another episode of the Diary of a Jesus Girl. We are still in the February love month. Woo, woo. Listen, we have been having some heated conversation from relationship is so complex to single and sexual. Today, we kind of decide to, I feel like we wanted to go a little lighter, but then the especially the pastor that we have, the male pastor, I feel like I got us go on with one bag of thing on the podcast, but let's see, right? So today we're doing a couple up, and you guys know that our couple up series is where we interview godly couples to just share their journey, share their experience, to give us biblical tips and, to help us to build successful kingdom marriages. So I want to welcome First Lady, only Lady Miriam Wallace. How are you, Pastor Wallace?
I'm doing well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, Miss Miriam, she's in charge of a ministry that deal with the first ladies, right? So if you're a first lady that's listening to this, you need to connect with Pastor Miriam, because the calling that the Lord has given her, the mandate to help other. I'm sure being a pastor's wife, especially if you're a pastor wife and you're a pastor too, like the man, it can't easy, but you don't have to do it all alone, right? And I know that sometimes as first ladies, you have your own challenges where the church have their own expectation. So reach out to Lady Miriam, tell her it's a Crystal send you, right? Next, then we have Pastor Gifton Wallace. Listen, when me say man clean like whistle, I saw them, listen, when him step out, when him dress, listen, I'm not talking about when him dress, when him send him 1 minute, thingy, pan WhatsApp, and you have to just say, so where am I going to say in 1 minute for like him walk drape you up. No, listen, I love this couple, and so remember give you a secret. Long me I try to get them on the podcast, me I show them up now. And me and them a friend, me and them a good friend, and them busy so till. So Pastor Gifton, welcome to the Diary of a Jesus Girl podcast.
Thank you very much, Jesus girl.
I love Jesus bad, but I like him bad. So let's jump into it, right? I want you first, because outside of yes, you're a power couple, powered because the Holy Spirit empower on it too. You guys have your own individual walks with the Lord. So tell us, how did you come to Christ? Let's start. Miss Pastor Miriam, tell us what was your journey like coming to Christ? What was life? Did you grow up in church? You're born saved, you did sit on watch Jesus and mingle. I don't know. Tell us.
Well, as you stated, I grew up in church. My father was a pastor, my mother an evangelist. So I knew I was in church all the days of my life. However, I came into a committed relationship with the Lord at the age of 13. It was during a Easter Sunday service, actually. It started a Friday at Easter, Good Friday. And a message was preached by Brother Gifton, on the power of love. And at that point, I saw Jesus as a loving God, and not just what I normally see him as the judge and the hell and fire house and all of that. But I came to realize that Jesus loved me for who I was. And that pulled me to the Lord. That's when I gave my heart to the Lord. Because at that point, I realized that he loved me regardless and in spite of.
Una know when me hearing that, right? But well, I'm hear Pastor Gifton one first before me come hear something a while ago when me never know about. Continue, Pastor Gifton. Tell us, how did you come to Christ, man of God?
Maybe you should reveal your heart so that I can endorse or rebuke.
No. When I done, I accuse. Don't worry. But continue.
I basically went to the same church. My mother was the secretary for the church. I was probably, now that you're looking back, what might be considered, I don't know if the right name is troubled child, but I used to give a lot of trouble, a whole heap. So I was one of 3 children from a single parent home. But while my other siblings were allowed to be left home, I had to be dragged to church because if my mother comes back home and I am home, there's going to be a mirage of complaint. And I remember the church was, I was very, very involved. Used to doing a lot of stuff, like Sunday school. I think them times we used to have like Sunday school secretary and all them something there. I think I was one of those, take little minutes in Sunday school and all of that. But I remember the church was having a series of street meeting right at where we lived in Waterhouse. And I was coming from school one evening, and I was singing one of the songs that they were singing at the altar call, which is Turn, Sinners, Turn, Why Won't You Turn? Where will you spend your long eternity? And walking all the way from the bus stop at Waterhouse along Penwood Road to Wellworth Avenue, I was just singing. And then when I got home, I took my mother's Redemption songbook and started to sing from number 4, The Name of Jesus is So Sweet. I love his music. You don't know them songs, you're too young to repeat.
Listen, me and my listeners are listen like...
Yeah, but I can guarantee you know the chorus. The chorus says, sweetest note in Sarah's song, sweetest name on mortal tongue, sweetest car. I grew up on the hymn, so when I grew up on too much hype music. So that's
Pastor, I never saved them time.
All right. It was is number 4 from the Redemption Songbook. And I came under heavy conviction. And we had a landlady. We shared the same building because we could stand up like in a passage and look in her room. And she recognized what was happening, came over and prayed with me. And then that was when I made a commitment to the Lord, gave my heart to the Lord. It wasn't a very good journey because we did still like a little trouble. And my mother kind of threatened me that if I get up and testify in church, she would kind of slap me. So I did kind of take a little ease. But at age 16, I remember one Sunday morning at the New Testament Church of God at Walton Park, I made that total and final commitment to the Lord. And the rest is history. That's 40 years ago.
Listen, we don't know which part to start. So, of course, I like to talk to the older couples, right? The Bible tells us that the older woman should pour out to the younger woman, and I love to just listen the wisdom that comes from our older couples. Now, tell us, how long have you been married? I'm gonna tell you, when me here, say a Pastor Gifton preach for make Pastor Miriam get saved. So, at what point did Pastor Gifton start preach, troublemaker start preach? I don't know more here. We're very fast right now.
Well, we have been married for 30 years. Last year, 30 years. He has been preaching quite a long time, and that was long before we even thought of each other in that way, yeah? Right. So, personally, when it comes on to my walk with the Lord, Gifton was a preacher. He was the youth president at one point. He was very active in church. But I was always a quiet person who just goes to church with my parents, was never really involved because as a pastor's child, everybody's eyes were on you. So I was kind of a quiet person, keep out of trouble. But when I made a commitment to the Lord, I started growing in God because I grew to love the Lord. And I loved the Lord long before Gifton came into the picture. So is preaching the message on the greatest love that just pointed me to Christ, not to him.
Yeah. What he was about? What age that he was preaching? Pastor, about what age you were? No, I'm asking because I want some young person.
If she was
about
13, I had to be 19.
Wow. I just want somebody to hear that, you're not too young for the Lord to use it. That's why I asked that question. Like, you understand?
Where we went to church is one of those situation where hands were laid on you suddenly. And it's not like now where people can get up and tell them, Pastor, that they're not going to do it. And they have to give them time, and I don't think I can manage it. It was not even an option. And it's not that your leaders were dictatorial. It is the kind of respect that you have for them, and you saw them as God's representative. So when you were told to do something, you just never even think, say, you have an option. So, and I remember clearly, I got saved when I was 16. I preached my first sermon when I was 18. I was not told that I was going to be preaching. I went to church a Sunday morning just to, remind our founder, Mother Lawrence, bless her heart, that today was my birthday. And she said to me, I was 18. She said, you're going to be preaching today. Now, I don't know if I was shocked. I really don't know, because that was the norm and the practice of our church. We don't know who is preaching Sunday morning. You come to church, whoever is moderating, instruction would have been given who is moderating, and then they will tell you at the onset who is going to be speaking. So by the time you hear that you're going to be preaching, you best sort yourself out together to that. And I remember, because I had a lot to do with the New Testament church, most of my friends, maybe all of my friends, were from the New Testament church at the time, because what I found is that the New Testament church was offering me something that my church was not offering. And I'm not saying that in a way to undermine my church. But the truth is that I really saw church from a different angle or a different perspective. They had a lot more, if not even so much more young people. But it's just that we were deep trenched, traditional. Yeah. And so I remember one of the overseer's wife, when they had something, she came there and she preached a sermon, Stay in the Ship. So because I loved that sermon, I remember it so well, and she never have any copyright on it. I just borrowed the sermon the Sunday morning and go preach, Stay in the Ship. And it was not a case where you were being assessed, whether you were homiletically correct, because the truth is that there was a kind of a family fellowship there. So that if going on a deep exegesis, people were receiving, so to speak. And so
a lot of the reliance of the Holy Spirit instead of the gifts.
Yes, that aspect of it too. And then we were a church that had a real serious, heavy prophetic mantle. Yep. Not as we know prophecy now, where sometimes some people say some things and they miss. Not like that. I mean, they could see through a brick wall. You misbehaved, they knew you went somewhere they could call places seriously. And so that was the kind of a thing. So I started preaching when I was 18.
Okay, thank you.
And I remember the title of the sermon. It was Never a Love Like This.
Wow.
And I actually took that. I think there was a secular song at the time that says Never a Love Like This. So that was the title of the thing. Sometimes I feel I want to preach up again.
Nice. All right, so let's jump in the couple up, right? I want you to tell us now, how did you transition? Of course, both of you going to church. Pastor Miriam, very shy, which she is still a bit shy, there's when you see the both of them are like Pastor Gifton is dancing, outspoken, huggy, and Pastor Miriam is just composed, definitely first lady material. So tell us, how did I don't know, Pastor Gifton, is that where you see what ail over it and say, I said that woman there gonna be back. I don't know, talk to me.
Who must start now, me?
I want to hear your side of the story first.
One of the things that I knew is that I was going to be involved in ministry. And from as early as that, I recognized that a woman can make or break a ministry.
Ooh, hold on. I'm going to sort that. All right, continue.
A woman can make or break a ministry. Vivian was very close and sheltered. Don't do anything more than go home from school to our yard to church. We're extremely sheltered. I was the outgoing type. I have one bag of friend, run up and down, go on retreats, do all kind of a something. And so in terms of the meeting of a lot of persons, that was there. Vivian will probably tell you that she saw me in a quote unquote big brother life. I'm 6 years older than her. And when we got married, we were very young. Well, maybe she was very young. I don't know if I was very young at the time. But what was more important to me is somebody who is going to be able to understand and enhance that ministry because of my exposure around marriages, because I did a whole lot of things with the New Testament church, I saw some marriages that did not work. And I saw some marriages that were good marriages. I did not want to be a part of the statistics of the marriage that was not work. So what was my priority, first of all, is what God wanted and not necessarily what I wanted. So that became important to me because as I said that, I mean, we were opposite people. Me and the talkathon, Vivian is the closed one. I am the outgoing one. Vivian was sheltered, and I don't know if she's sheltered because she necessarily wanted that, or that was something that came from her home. But sometimes too, if that is what you grow up in, that becomes your situation, and is like, I mean, you kind of miss nothing else if you don't know nothing else.
Yeah.
That kind of a thing, you know. So at some point in time, when I figured it was time for me, you know, to have a partner in life, my inclination started to go towards Veen. And I had a discussion. I remember we have never said this before, but I'm gonna say this.
Wow.
When Vivian was doing her exams, when she was doing exams, I had an issue when I was doing exam in terms of my own mother, because I came from a single parent home and mom didn't have all of the money. And I remember it was a family member who helped my mom. And I always had that in the back of my mind about wanting to help. So when it was time for Vivian's exam to be paid, because there's this notion that because you're a pastor, you're rich and you have a lot of money, I knew her parents very well. And I knew that they did not have a lot of money. That much I knew. So I got wind that during the time when our exam fee was to be paid, that, you know, there was a little challenge there. So I was in a partner at work because I was working at the time. And I took the partner draw and took it to her father. And I remember what he said to me. He took the money from me and told me that if I had any intentions, I can speak up now. But it was not. It had nothing to do with any intention. And he didn't say that in a bad way, like he was suspicious of himself. He was saying that, you know, if there's anything, because I think that they like me and it would appear that they wanted me to be son-in-law, but don't know.
We're so fair side. But Pastor, you know, boy, I wanted to ask a question. How old are you when you felt that inclination? And I will come back to why I asked that question, but about what age were you at?
All right, Vivian and I Vivian and I liked each other for a year and a half without both of us knowing that.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you something crazy that she did. One little fella did like her.
Hey.
And she jump up and tell the fella that, big tell him no, you know, because she's in love with somebody else. Somebody else who don't tell her that I'm in love with them, with her.
Listen.
Yeah, so your face light up, Crystal.
Listen, I love the argument. You know me. But you didn't tell me about what age. About you were.
When we got married, Vivian was 20. I was 26. So that had to be when I was about.
Okay. So say about 20. Yeah, you started to get this desire.
And she was 18 and a half.
Okay. I just kind of like to know, like, okay, at what age were you thinking about, you know, a wife versus? But I'm not gonna lie. See, part of the story is when they say you go carry the money, go give the man, it impressed me bad because I like when man spend money. But Miss Miriam, jump in more your side of the story.
I might have to send you a prayer that a lady prayed today when the podcast is finished about man with money.
Pastor Miriam, your time.
All right. Well, truth being told, I saw him growing up. It's never entered my mind really that okay, we would be together. But over time, especially, I grew to love him. I love the love he had for the Lord.
So look how she just
She's like me here.
No, Pastor Gifton, give the lady. I like where you just say, I love the love when did
I love the love he had for the Lord.
I just feel our waist.
When he's at church, he worships.
Wee.
He could have cried to Crystal, Mr. Father. As spirits touch him on my ball. I'm not mean pretty crying, I'm mean ball.
Sensitive
man.
Sensitive man.
But he was so free in spirit with the Lord. Very open. So I admired that about him. I don't know how, but I grew to love him. To the point, Crystal, before I'm coming out of school now, right? I get ready to leave high school, etc. And I'm in class and I'm thinking about this young man. And then I have to be repenting and saying, Lord.
Jesus, somebody listening, it's okay. It's okay. Don't feel no way.
And I used to feel so, I said, Lord, what is this? And I would pray and I remember praying, so Lord, please take this feeling away from me.
Let this cup pass from me.
I prayed that. I did, because I knew myself and there was no way I was going to be approaching anybody much more. Because as he said, he was an outgoing person, so he had friends galore.
No so girl around him, don't you know.
Because I am reserved and whatever. I expected him to marry one of those social butterflies like himself, kind of a thing. So I wasn't even thinking that it would have happened. But I loved him quietly. I remember when he came, it was a shocker. When he came to my parents' house to declare his intentions or what he was thinking, right? It was unexpected, totally unexpected. But because my heart was already there, you know, so of course he spoke to my parents, But with all of that being said,
an arranged marriage.
No, go so. Not a thing. No, don't listen to me, Crystal. Right. So of course, back in the day, you're going to speak to the parents, right? Manners and all of these things. Though the secret when only you and your partner know about it and everybody else is left in the dark. Too much darkness don't good.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he spoke to my parents that this was the intent, we courted, but because we also understood who we were, and also, as he said, we came from a very conservative church background. We didn't want too much exposure. So our parents knew, that the ministers knew, but it was not until we were ready to get married. I think when
we were going to be engaged.
When we were going to be engaged, right?
That most of the church
knew about it.
I think it was like about, it was her parents, my mother, two of the elders, my best friend.
Yeah, and my
Sandra wasn't part of our church. From church.
Oh, church. Okay.
Outside of like my siblings and her siblings who knew that we were courting.
Okay.
Right. We held that down for a year and a half.
So I want to jump in. So let me fast forward a bit. 30 years of marriage. 3 kids.
4.
Yes, 3 daughters, the little baby girl, right? Well, she's not a baby girl anymore, but yeah. So 4 beautiful children. Both Pastor Miriam is a pastor for a church. Pastor Gifton is a pastor for another church, right? Fast forward, tell us 30 years. Talk to us about the ins and lows of marriage. Where do you want to start?
All right. So marriage, what I learned over the time, you see, a lot of times we get married with our minds already set as to what is going to happen. All right. And a lot of times what our vision is does not line up with our reality. So there has to be a change or a shift in our mindset between the engagement, getting married, and the reality of marriage. We had challenges because, as you can see, our personality differences. So he was always the one wanting to go out, etc., etc. Me, not so much. Adjusting from being a young girl without much responsibility to being a wife. So it was the transition was challenging when it came to the reality of all that marriage entails. That is more than just the ring and saying, okay, I am now married and all of that. Because with marriage comes responsibility. You're no longer just thinking about yourself, right? It's now about you and your partner. So for a while, the earlier part was pretty nice.
The earlier part?
The earlier part.
What's the earlier part?
The first couple of months. Oh God! But after the moon, and you come down to reality, and you know that okay, who going to work, that, and then when you return, all and then his responsibilities at church, and we both had responsibilities. So the back and forth thing, the adjustment period is what was challenging, because we had to find a way of coming together, complementing each other. So we rubbed a bit. There was a time when I'm sure he repented of asking the question, as well as myself. But the thing about it is that we knew two things. One, when we made the vow, it was not taken lightly. And two, we loved each other. We love each other. So we realized that with life, there are going to be challenges, and we were not willing to throw in the towel, so to speak. We wanted our lives to please God, and we wanted a good marriage.
Yeah.
So we rolled with the punches, get up and go again.
It was a part of that too was an adjustment of personality, because we were apples and oranges. Two totally different kind of people, and I think that at the onset, one of the things that became an issue is the whole matter of, being exposed can be a very good thing and it can be a bad thing. Because if you are exposed and you think the other person is not exposed, you can get to a place where you think that you know everything. And all of your decisions are the correct ones. And that was the major issue that we had. And I was the one thinking that way until I found out otherwise.
That she's a smart half.
That what?
That she's I'm sorry.
You know, so I'm not going to agree with this even about the part there. But look here now. I'll allow you to have your 4 seconds that all of us are entitled to. So take your 4 second Krista.
All right, so I want to ask you 3, let me do 5. 5 in 5, right? So you have 5 questions to answer in 1 minute. So
and both of us are
no, so I'll choose who. Oh. So I want Pastor Miriam, you have been, doing a lot of work in ministry regarding with first ladies. What are some of the challenges that you see just reoccurring in marriages that women are complaining about the men of God that they're married to? Probably 1 or 2.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
Probably 1 or 2.
One. Okay, so one of the recurring issues with ministers or women married to ministers is the time spent. Because the church takes the spouse away a lot. So the time spent is one. Two, the inability to share. So for instance, there'll always be things happening, but persons are not. It's as if the humanity is taken away, and you're no longer expected to express yourself as a regular woman. So because you are the pastor's or
pastor's
minister's
wife,
you no longer have blood running in your veins. So anything comes your way, take it with a smile and go on, dancing.
With the big hat, yeah.
Right, with the big hats and all of that.
Yeah,
Not big hats anymore.
They're not wearing hats anymore.
Not hats anymore.
It might be with the big eyelashes.
Yes, I love the show. All right, Pastor Gifton, your question. You mentor a lot of young man. You are always putting up some young man by your status, right? But I've seen that a lot of, so at 23, you were at a place where, you're working and I'm thinking, okay, I need a wife. But you have some 35-year-old man, them still they're not sure if they need a wife. Talk to us about why you think that they just shift that's happening where you see men are not necessarily desiring, a wife at a younger age or probably sometime, yeah.
I think the dynamics of society has changed, and I think and our values, and I think that the whole matter of the presentation of the family is not happening anymore. Where there is more emphasis on career than there might be on family. So in other words, and then sometimes the kind of things that we project in church, like we tell when we are prophesy, we are telling people about house and car and stuff. We make those things priority, even in the presentation of our prophetic utterances. And so from a young man's point of view, I have to have this. Outside of that, our women are coming much more educated than our men. And women have them little girly talk, and them tell you the kind of men that they want. And sometimes the men that they want are the men that comes with the things. And a lot of men are intimidated by a lot of our women, sometimes because of how they project themselves. So the man will want to make sure that he has some things in place before he even make an approach. And sometimes by the time that he get the things in place, somebody will have already made the approach. So he have to start all over again. Outside of that, one of the things that I think that we probably will not be very truthful about is that there is a kind of a free-for-all in the kingdom where you're in love, quote unquote, with somebody, and then so satisfied with them and you leave and you go find somebody else who knew what you did to the other person and is happy to pick you up, and there is no level of commitment. And that's one of the issues that I'm going to speak to one day in terms of even people who are in relationships or courting or engaged, because some of them think they're married and then them get flapped at the end. And outside of that, there is a serious practice of sex outside of marriage, even in the kingdom. And it's unfortunate that the body of Christ is doing that. So they don't feel no sense to be committed to anybody, because sometimes in wanting to move into a relationship, a lot of our Christian women are prepared to lower their standards and to compromise in the name of wanting to get this person and realize it's not necessarily going to work. So those are some of the factors that we have up against us. When a lot of people are just players. They don't want to be committed to anybody. They are, because there's a shortage of men in the kingdom, and a lot of these brothers know that. So them kind of want to play any, meeny, miny more. So any today, meaning next week, miny the other day, more the other week. And then probably don't end up with any of those. Then probably have somebody come from foreign who is 10 years older than them and 15 years older than them because they want a green card. And them gone. Crystal behaviors. And then they might be there with this person who definitely would mean them well, and somebody just show up with more hip slips and fingertips, and them just run off with them. So those are some of the things.
And that's it today for the Diary for Jesus Girl podcast. He said everything and we're finished now. That's it. He said, Pastor, last week we had the conversation about sex and sexual, right? Single and sexual. And one of the gentleman, he would have shared that he's a musician and he was having sex in church, and he's like, no people have sex in church now. I didn't grow up in church, so I kind of feel like a lot of people are not having sex. I kind of feel like that, but apparently, it's not the truth. So, boy, you bring up you dash some ouch. Pastor Miriam, cool down the place with that na question here, right? Make us sort this. Thank you, Holy Spirit. All right. Pastor Miriam, I want you to just share, again, you are an accomplished woman, doing, business, a pastor, plus you have a 9-to-5 job. And, again, you're an educated woman, right? Talk to us, like what do you say to your daughters when I know your eldest daughter, she's now married? What do you say? And I want you to talk to us. I want you to be that Titus woman as we're winding down with the podcast. I want you to talk to us. What would you say to us regarding marriage and relationships? What advice? So talk to us like you're talking to
your daughter. Do not lower your standards. The true if you do not value yourself, the men will not value you. There are many times when, as Gifton said earlier, women are so desperate, or they want to have the ring, they want to bear the name of a wife, but and they lower their standards. They allow anything and anyone to come and play. But I remember saying to my girls that, listen, do not give anyone the benefits of a wife that is not willing to honor you as a wife. Because many times we are willing to play house, and then after playing house, the person we're playing house with go and marry someone, not even someone who is older than her, but someone who they actually respect and honor. Don't lower yourself or your standard. Honor yourself and demand honor from whoever shows an interest in you. Do not lower yourself. You are worth the wait. You are worthy of being called a wife. So do not act as a wife to someone who does not honor you with that state of being called a wife.
Thank you. And I know that we would have heard it every now and then, but I don't know if we have heard, many of us, well, I wouldn't have heard that from my mom because she's not saved, and culturally, especially Jamaican culture, them say take a woman and call him your wife, and then marry you. Them marry you.
They go and marry somebody else.
So just hearing that from, like a mother saying, listen, do not compromise, and anybody that's willing to let you compromise, they are not worth it because you are worthy of being a wife. No, Pastor Gifton, a lot of the women, and I'm sure you would have known or you would have experienced this, a lot of young women don't have father figures. The idea, one of the reasons why I do couple up is because I have a lot of friends that would have said to me, Crystal, I don't desire marriage because I have never seen a good marriage. I've never seen a good Christian marriage. And this is why I do couple up, because I know God has blessed me with amazing couples that I stand for and say, boy, I would want something like that. Because not saying that I know that everybody have problem, but one of the things that you both said that, have stuck with me is that you both love each other, you both love God, and you both are committed to making this work. And I want you to talk to us. You have 3 girls. What do you talk? I want you to put on your father cap and talk to us, many of us that have never had that conversation with a godly man, a Christian man, a father. I want you to talk to us as a father about this transition of marriage.
One of the things about talking, even as you're saying that, as in my mind preempting you, my biggest speech to my daughters is my example. Because sometimes we can say things and we say it because we are exposed and or we have the giftings to speak. But I do not necessarily want to speak to my girls to say that this is what you must do or this is what you must look for in a man. I want them to see what they must look for. And I also want to cause anybody at all who wants to be married to them to have a challenge in terms of this is how you take care of a woman, this is how you take care of a family. My own son-in-law said that to me. And he wouldn't be upset if I said that a father figure wasn't around for him. But he saw what was happening in this home and he was admiring that from afar. And so it is more than somebody just telling you that they like you. It is more than somebody just wanting to be involved with you sexually. You are a person of value. And one of the things that I do is value my children. Everybody sees that I value my children. And I tell people, whatever you see us putting up is not pretense. It is who we are. And just as you said, Crystal, it's not that we don't have little issues and all of them something there. One of the things, I mean, our linen them not too dirty. So we really have not to wash in the public. But just like everybody else, you know, you would have had issues. But outside of that, you must understand that you are valued right here. Just even this evening, my daughter was married, was here and having a conversation with another of our sisters about how much she still belongs here. I'm married, but I belong here, that kind of a thing. So you must always provide that sense of belonging, that you are valued and we hold you in high regards. And anybody who is coming after you must understand that.
But, and I get that, but for what about us, the ones that don't have this example though, and we don't see this example, like your son-in-law, like your daughters? More you tell me something, tell me where to look for, you can't live for against a pastor.
You mean what to look for in a gentleman? First of all,
just give us some advice. No, man, where your spiritual daughter will not get to see live and direct. But if a man approach us or if we want a man, tell us something, give us something.
One of the things that has to happen is that for me, there has to be that connection between you and the Lord.
Yeah.
And if there's a connection between you and the Lord, you want to be involved with someone who has a connection with the Lord also. I think that sometimes, and I particularly want to say this to our Christian women, if you are looking for someone to be married to, you have to make sure that, first of all, he's God's someone. Mm-hmm. And God's someone might not necessarily be your ideal. God's someone might not necessarily be your ideal. Because sometimes we have the 10 points that we are looking for, and out of that, the person that God has for you is it only has 4 out of it. Mm-hmm. And I think that sometimes as Christian women, you know, they turn away some of the men because them don't have your 10, them only have 4. And one of the things about marriage is marriage is a ministry that evolves.
Yes, bro.
So you grow together. And it's about enhancing and loving each other. So even as you look, don't be boxed in or sucked into a mold by society that they are stereotypically presented, the kind of man that is ideal. And most times the kind of man that is ideal that they are presenting is in the physical and in the accomplished. But sometimes while they have the physical and they're accomplished, their heart might not be where you are. Make sure it's somebody who will love you and respect you and honor you. And you might be the one helping the person moving along. Because if you look at the scriptures, one of the things that the Bible says, you know, is that the Lord provided a helper compatible to him. And compatibility doesn't necessarily mean that both of you are on the same plane. Compatibility means that she might be the one helping you to transition, to move forward. And I think that some of our Christian women, need to begin to understand that it's not like you're going to take up a baby and you're going to turn your whole marriage into a creech. That's not what this is about. But yeah.
All right. So I want us to wrap up soon, I want us to wrap up soon, but I feel like every time I have a couple on the live, especially a couple that is so hard to get, like the Wallaces, I want to ask the questions, right? Because as we prepare for marriage, for some of us, it's love month. Well, I dub it love month because of February, right? What have been some of your experience in terms of, that love? Because, sometimes we see this love as the furry feeling. So do you get up every day and feel that furry feeling? And then when you don't feel that furry feeling, how do you not, talk to us about love.
One of the things, well, Mrs. Wallace, love is a decision. I was about to say that love is security. And, women kind of set up different from men. They want to be told every day. I don't have to be told. I can be told once in every 10 years. I mean, all right. Because I tell people all the time that love is not loved by what it says, it's loved by what it does. And I think that many times we allow society to dictate to us. And nothing is wrong with being told because we are kind of wired that way. But for me, love is a decision. It's a behavior. It's what you do. And even as you talk about the furry, if I'm going to get a teddy bear or a rose or a chocolate on Valentine's Day and then you treat me bad for the rest of the year, you can keep that. Keep that. Yeah, me can go by myself when I enjoy myself. And some of us I get the goosebump, and the girls at work I envy you and they don't know what you're going through. So it's a behavior, and it is not subjected to a day or a particular incident. It is a behavior. And then there's a kind of security. You know that this person loves you, so there's nothing run behind me and tell you that every day. If Mrs. Wallace start to run behind me and tell me that every day, me get suspicious. I gotta take out for one.
What you want? No. All
right. So final question.
I just say that to bother you.
All right. This question: when getting to know each other, how did you separate the butterfly feelings so that you can intentionally see clearly who that person presents themselves to be? So yes, good one.
This is what is have to answer that. She got the butterflies.
All right. So the truth about it, look here, a person cannot hide who they are for long. All right. So even with the butterfly feelings or those are not what you'll call you cannot trust the feelings alone. And sometimes the more you spend time with a person or in a person's company, you spend time, you see how the person interacts with others, or he treats others, or they treat their family, their friends. And you get to know them, even if they treat you like you are the angel or the princess or the best thing since butter bread. That's a term?
Slice
bread. The best thing since sliced bread. The thing about it is that you will also know them by how they treat others. So don't just watch how he treats. Okay, he's always being kind to you, but he's mean to everybody else, including his mother, and you're okay with that?
Yeah, I know he talks about others too.
His mother, it's going to come back to you. If he mistreats his sisters, sooner or later, it's going to come back to you. So look at how the person treats other people. Yeah. And you will know exactly what is in their heart.
Yeah, that's a good one. So I always, and think Pastor Gifton kind of said it, I feel like the men, once they make a decision that this is who they want as their wife, that decision weighs a lot. But as a woman, and I think Pastor Gifton, probably you can help me with this. What would a woman look out for to say, oh, this man has made a decision about me? And I ask this question because I've dated and nice Christian man. But for me, while he says he love me, for me, I just felt like there was that decision. Like, I kind of, while I know him same love me and him treat me nice and everybody see, oh, we look like a nice couple, there's just, for me, something felt like he didn't make that decision to say, I want her to become my wife, right? That's it. You will kind of help me with this.
What would make them make the decision?
No, what do you think that men make the decision, and what could a woman look out for, or to know that this man is truly choosing her, not because him say, oh, baby, are you more married kind of thing, but in terms of actions, decision.
I think we come back to even something that Miriam said with regards to how he treats you, because you will know if the person is flirting with you or the person is serious about you. They will respect your decision. They'll respect who you are. They will not try to impose themselves on you. And one of the things that is a red flag is if they are trying to make you into them. They are actually speaking, technically telling you that you are imperfect and you are unworthy. So if you recognize that, because we all come with flaws, is one of the things that we don't like to present. And even now, when we speak about our own marriage, some things we can speak to openly because we have already gotten over them. But one of the things that has to happen is that you're not married to a perfect person. You're married to somebody with a flaw. And if you are with someone that is constantly complaining, constantly finding fault with what you do, constantly finding fault with your family and your friends, and you realize that you're kind of having somebody who wants to turn you into them, or you're getting married to a dictator, or somebody is just trying to tell you that, look here, I am really not interesting. So they start to make the multiplicity of excuses so that when they break, you become the fault and not him not being very serious about what he was doing.
Okay, thank you. So definitely these are the last question. Last. What, because you have been, giving us as single persons a lot of advice, but for those that probably are just recently transitioning marriage, or some married people watching are like, yeah, my marriage good, but how can I strengthen it? What would you say, 30 years, what would you say are the 3 ingredients, and you decide among yourself the 3 ingredients of being a godly couple, a purposeful couple? What would you say, and that have kind of really held you for the last 30 years?
Mrs. Wallace will answer the other 2. I'm making my life easier. That's what it is. You just stay married for 30 years and make your life easier. No, but you said something, Crystal, and I knew that Vivian was going to say the exact thing I'm going to say just now. So let me start off with that. You said the operative word was a godly couple. You cannot be a godly couple without God. Mm-hmm. So your feelings and your desires have to become secondary to it. It is not what Gifton wants and what Vivian wants. You will hear me saying Vivian because that's her pet name, and that's how I refer to her. You know her as Miriam, but it's the same person. It's not 2 different ladies here.
just in case, that's like how I want them to share the first and the second. Where's the
Miriam and then jump gone over Vivian.
Is Vivian the side chick? What do you know, Pastor? Where you go Africa go do?
Is Vivian the side chick? It's the same person. Yeah, but it's not what you want, because as a matter of fact, that was what almost damaged our marriage at the onset, because it was more of what I wanted. Domineering.
You were the problem. Who was the problem? I'm just saying, I'm teasing you.
It's that I have your numbers and I have you on Facebook, and I'm going to block you. Tonight. I'll block you for 3 seconds and then I'll just unblock you. But I'm going to block you. I'm going to live up to my word. I'm going to block you. But I think one of the things that we seem not to remember as a church, that it is God who orchestrated and instituted marriage, and He has the answers. And while everybody's marriage is different, and what's the word I want? Unique to them. That's the word I want. Unique to them. At the end of the day, God has the answers to everybody's situation. So if you want a godly marriage, you have to be very open to the Lord, because we have behavior in marriage that now enhance the marriage. And I must be at the place where I'm prepared to listen to the Lord to say, Gifton, you can't behave like that. Or Miriam has to say, Miriam, I can't behave like that. And I think that one of the things that we must take out of marriage, we talk a lot about communication and love, but we have to take out the selfishness and we have to become selfless. When you get married, it is not about you. And I find that a lot about Christian women, it is what they want out of the marriage.
So
and
we
they're
are
not
going
looking
so far.
Yeah, is it true? True. Why me want a man that can take care of me and mind me? What are you bringing to the table? You have to bring something, baby. And I want chair on this table. We're not going to sit down on the same chair. No, you have to bring something to it. And so it becomes a case where what you want becomes secondary to what God wants. And even in scriptures, outside of marriage, we are told that we must esteem each other better than ourselves. And if God requires that for the church, how says the person that he says you are one with? As if God tell me, say, me must think of Crystal, who is my church sister, better than how me think of myself. What do you think God's mind is towards the person that you get married to? And I think that's one of the things, and I say this without fear of successful contradiction, most of the breakups that we have in marriage is breathed in selfishness. Is what I want or what I don't like. And it's not what God wants. We never stop. And we never stop to do what the Lord said. I mean, when I tell people when I'm doing as a marriage officer, there are some things that I say at every wedding. And when I speak to the husbands, one of the things I tell them is that Christ tell them to love his bride as he loved the church. And I tell them all the time, as a member of the church for 40 years of my life, Crystal will not always do what the Lord wants us to do, but he have this stubborn, reckless love for us. Mm-hmm. And that is the commitment that you are called into. That, you think I'm always happy with Vivi?
Of course not.
You think she's always happy with me? Sometimes they want the food.
Commitment is the glue that will keep us together. All right, because when Gifton spoke about more than one thing, he spoke about selflessness and he spoke about service.
Godliness, yeah.
Right. So if you're selfless, you're willing to put the other person ahead of yourself, and you respect each other, and you're submissive. If you realize that, okay, if we're saying we're in marriage, we are there to help each other. It's about serving each other. And when you understand that, you realize, as Gifton said, it's not just about you and what you want. It is about what is best for us.
But I want to interject. I want to come off right now, but I have to interject. Because
it's about the 19th time you said that, Crystal.
That must happen, yeah. You must talk. You can't be interviewed with a talker, right? But no, I have to ask, because we keep hearing, I have to be selfless. Suppose me I be selfless to this man, and this man is like, sometimes the men, they are giving their all, but she probably have some friend, her friends, her husband, do something, and him not like, how you deal with when one
bad mind.
You see, the thing about it, is that marriage is about three persons. Marriage is inclusive of God, the husband, and the wife. When we talk about whether it be selflessness or respect, we're not talking about one person. We're talking about the two of them portraying the same characters. Now, there are times when one partner may not. And we're talking about godly marriages now, yeah? One of the things that was brought home forcefully to me is that many times, just as Christians, we talk Bible enough, but many times our life don't reflect what we talk. In the same breath, we will talk about being godly marriages, but the way we treat each other is far from what God is saying in the Word. So we don't practice the principles of the kingdom in our marriages. So we don't know how to forgive the spouse may have done something 2 years ago, and all now you're still carrying it. Every time something new happens, you bring up, you go to the graveyard and you start to dig up that. We have to learn to forgive each other. And the truth of, listen, at the end of the day, Crystal, for your marriage to work, you have to decide that you want it to work. Both parties has to decide that they want it to work, and that they have to willing to put in the work to make it work.
Yeah. Okay. So on that note, I really believe that I just want to just bring out some points that I feel like I'm taking away, and I hope the listeners would have paid attention. One, just with your own conversion story, and we just continue to talk, that it's so important for us to keep cultivating our personal relationship with Christ. Independent one, even as a single person listening, or am I ensuring that I'm growing in the spirit, to ensure that I'm discerning of whoever is trying to put themselves forward, just growing into my relationship with Christ, that I want what God wants, because sometimes we come into Christ, especially if you didn't grow up in church. Even if you grew up in church, sometimes you have this idea of how your husband should look, but is that what God have in store? So become really accepting God's idea. Also, as you stress, the importance for people to keep their standards, right? Understand that you're worth the wait, and that is not just for women, but also for men, right? You don't have to go after, the woman that is looking for your money or whatever, right? You are too valuable, and you should treat yourself valuable and date and eventually marry somebody that also sees you as valuable. And I think the final thing I would take away is the truth is a successful marriage is based on commitment. Mm-hmm. Two persons making a commitment that no matter, because as you said, there are so many Christians getting married and them just divorcing a year, divorcing 2 years, right? Mm-hmm. And you wonder what's causing this. And people say, the cause is money, or the cause is in cheat, or whatever the case is. But the truth is there is a lack of commitment somewhere in between. Somebody decide I'm out. Somebody made a decision that, I think there's somebody better out there, right? Or I could have do better, or somebody made that decision out. And what I've realized, especially since doing this couple of series, I must say all the couples, the godly couples that I've interviewed, again, they choose to love God first. And because they choose to love God first, they fight for their relationship to work because it's pleasing to God. So as we close out another couple of series, the Wallace says, I want to thank you for your honesty, Pastor Gifton. I love trouble you, but I can't love you. Don't
I know that? And the feeling is mutual.
Don't make me bring up the book on you.
Oh my.
Crystal, you have a number, You know say you have a number. You know say you have a number. You know say you have a number. You remember a statement I made about linen in public?
So
we saw them together.
Thank you so much again. Have a blessed. I just continue to pray for 30 more years and 30 more years and 30 more years, as long as the Lord, and continue to be a blessing to the kingdom. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, my dear.
Bye.
Diary of a Jesus girl. Jesus girl. Hey, it's the diary of a Jesus girl.